Hey folks, Steve here. How you doing? Coming to you from my walkout basement workshop. Back in here, you can see behind me, if you hadn't seen this before, I actually built like a little mini Ron Paulk trailer in here, in that I have actually 3 banks of cubbies to store tools and a lot of other stuff. And actually behind that, I have done what he would call drawer bank 2, and I built 3 cabinets of them, attached them all together, put them on casters so that bottom part moves. The cubbies are actually not attached to that. They're kind of floating, if you will, attached from the ceiling and attached to the wall. It's where all of my old tools that no longer live in the trailer have kind of migrated to here, and they're still fully functional tools. However, this is where they live at this point. Okay, well, today it's about building the SMART Kart version 1. I'm going to build 2 of them. Eventually, I will have 3 Ron Paulk workbenches. One of them I am sitting beside. It's a Smart Bench, Ron Paulk Smart Bench, and it's the kind of the version 3, I think, 3.0 of his sequence of how he's built his benches. And this particular bench, it's roughly 3 by 6. And it has its own custom-built sawhorses and everything. I have a build video for that, and that build video I'll either throw up here on a card or I'll put it down in the descriptions down there if you want to go see that one. However, I am in the middle of building a Ron Paulk Smart Station, where it's the workbench identical to this, except that it integrates the miter saw right into the bench, and so the deck of the saw is actually on plane with the material supports that are, again, custom built, everything with dog holes, you know, that whole thing as far as a workbench goes. And then you have the material supports, and everything is kind of indexed there. Really cool stuff. Looking forward to that. I'm in the middle of that build. So that's bench number 2. Bench number 3 is actually another smart bench, but this smart bench is one of those pre-manufactured knockdown benches that Ron Paulk offers, and it's through a company called Reparadise, which is found at reparadise.com. They're based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, kind of south Salt Lake. It's kind of an area that has its own name, but effectively for me, being out of town, it's Salt Lake City. I actually went out there because I was on a kind of a West Coast trip anyway. So for me, when I was right out there standing there with him, it was $695, everything included in that box. I have not assembled that bench yet, but that's bench number 3, and so effectively I will eventually have 3 Ron Paulk benches. This should all work together. This video is about building 2 of the SMART Karts. For this bench right here sitting beside me, and you'll see this in the video in a moment, the cart was already built. So that cart is fully functional, built, everything, it's all detailed out, it's ready to go, nothing more to do to that particular cart. The other 2 carts, I will get them 90%. But what I will not do is I will not put the casters on. I will not put the bar that kind of makes the casters work as one on either side. I will not do that. And on the inside for the sawhorses, there are kind of like retention strips that you can put in. And then there are a couple of small pieces that you mount vertically on either end of the bench, on either end of the cart. What they do is they will index when you take 2 benches, and you take the benches and you actually set them up on their sides and you set them down in the cart for transport. And then that basically spaces them, kind of locks them in a little bit. And then you have this gap in between where you can actually put your parts, your 2 sets of sawhorses, spreader shelves, miter extensions, whatever it is, you have that gap. Now, inside the benches, you also have space to put all those parts too. So it's a luxury. And then you would take the second, Smart Station and cap this thing that you have built to create like what Ron, I think, has called a travel cube. Really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to that, and that's probably how I would at least initially transport my benches when I get the bigger trailer, because I need a wider aisle to make all this happen. I have found a solution, I think, to my narrow aisle. I'll show you that in some other video. But now, on to, because I've got it queued up on this TV, I'm going to watch it, and I'll just narrate it for you to let you know what I'm doing, because I just put it on the video, edited it, and just let it go. So let's see what we've got going on here. All right, so here we are with the parts that I need. I haven't bothered to get out the big bottoms yet, so it's just the sides and the ends. Right now I'm just making some marks and getting ready to drill the holes so I can actually make the frame of the base. Because I was at my walkout basement, I went ahead and fired up one of my 18-volt drills. I still have 3 of those drills that are functional, although 2 of the drills, I think you can actually smell the brushes when I run it, so they are not long for this world, but I don't use them very often, so they may last quite a while. What you also see here is the fact that I have 2 sets of parts. So I have all the bench parts right out here. You need 2 sides per cart, and that's 4 sides right there. Oops, sorry. And then I have all the ends for both carts as well. Now you see really closely that fast cap countersink bit that I found on Ron's station. Really, really like that bit. It's a little overkill. You don't need it for this application, but it's really cool. Now for assembly, Richard, Renovation and Repair out of Michigan. Richard sent me this Milwaukee drill. It's the only red cordless tool that I own. It's an M12. What a freaking beast that thing is. I use that to assemble the bench that you are looking at right there. That's my first, or it's not my first, I'm sorry. This is my most recent smart bench that I built. And I assembled that bench using that particular drill. It's a driver. And that was really cool. I won it in one of his, I think when he got to 20,000 subscribers, he did a giveaway. And in that giveaway, I put a number in. He randomized everything. And then my number came up. So it was really cool. So I got that M12. He did not autograph it. So if I ever meet him, I'm going to take that tool and get it autographed. What the hell, right? All right, so of course, what you see here is I'm just doing the assembly of the sides now. I am using the fast cap. Let's see, I've got them right here, actually. They are the fast cap power head screws. I'm using 1.25 inch. Those little darn things are expensive. You can only buy them in packs of 50 as far as I have found, and they are like 20 bucks for 50 of those things. Whereas if you get longer sizes, you can actually get packs of 200, much more reasonable in bulk. But anyway, so I'm using these 1.25 inch power head screws, but I really like them. With that countersink bit, this is what you're going to get, because you're going to get this close up. Look at that. It's just really nice. You get that really wide head, so it's like a washer, and it sets flush. Actually, I have to adjust my my countersink a bit, because they are the screw should actually be right at the surface, and I've got it just ever so slightly a little bit deeper. But that bit is fully adjustable. I really like that thing. That's cool. Okay, now I'm putting on my first bottom, if you will. That was just sitting inside. I've had this prepared for, oh my gosh, maybe 3 months. It's just been sitting in a corner. Right now I'm actually laying out the marks for the drill holes, or for the holes to drill, and where I'm going to put all the screws in to attach. I think I'm going every 10 millimeters except at the edges, scribing a line there at 9 millimeters because the plywood is 18 millimeters, so that'll center me up on the plywood that I'm screwing into. But with that, of course, now I'm going to man, what am I trying to say here? I'm actually just pre-drilling everything here with that countersink. Again, that countersink is overkill, and I'm using expensive screws. I didn't have to do that at all, but I liked it. So, really, really neat. Now, when I assembled the frame, I did not glue it. So here in, maybe a couple of years when this thing falls apart on camera because I didn't glue it, you can come out, troll me, and tell me I told you so on the glue. But I did manage to glue the bottom. I remembered the glue. So I glued the bottom. Getting it lined up, getting a few screws just to index the bottom and make sure everything is square, because basically I'm having to square it up as I do this. I didn't bother to get any squaring brackets for this. So basically some indexing screws here, and then the part that I love when I watch other people's videos, when you put in an army of screws all in order, all in a row, and then you go back through and you actually just at fast speed drive them in. I love that for some reason. I think it's just absolutely cool. There I am using my one wonderful red M12. Thank you again, Richard. That's just a really cool tool. It hasn't made it into the trailer yet because I'd have to mount the charger. But for right now, I do actually pull that thing out, as you can see, and I use it. All right, well, there you go. There is basically cart number 1. It's 90%. I will not actually put the casters on at this time because of the fact I can't use it. I don't need this cart at the moment. So I have to store it, and storing it without the casters allows me, if I want to stand it up on end and put it in a corner somewhere. But if I put the casters on, it becomes much more problematic to store. But this piece that I'm putting on here, and I have one more for the other side, this is actually just to double up the thickness on the ends to allow me to mount the casters. Because you only have otherwise 3/4. That'll give you 1.5 inches to screw into. Okay, here we go with cart number 2, basically the same thing. I've simply gone from, I think, whatever it was, 3x to 4x. A lot of this has been pre-drilled, so I'm able to just kind of get the screws ready to go. This time I have the glue out, and so I'm ready to go on that. Now, it was a 50-degree day today, or that day that I assembled, so it really worked out well. The glue was flowing, you know, it wasn't really viscous. And then the other side. Now, that bracket that you see, or excuse me, that clamp that you see that I'm using, that's a ratchet clamp. I looked into the fast cap version that Ron Paulk uses, and those fast cap ratchet clamps that work very well with the dog holes, that those things are like 40 bucks a piece. So I was scrolling around on Amazon somewhere, and I found these things. I don't know what brand they are. It's just an off-brand, but they work very well, and they work with the dog holes. They do everything I need them to do. And I think they were like 25, maybe 30 bucks or something. So for that price, I could afford to I could justify for the expense on that. Here I am laying out the screws again, but in this case, I'm actually going to do every 20 millimeters instead of every 10. That screw set on the last one was incredibly overkill, very wasteful on the number of screws that I put in there, given how much each screw is. But otherwise, it's just it's a neat system. Here again, using that fast cap countersink bit. Just love that bit. Again, running glue around it for the perimeter. Here's the bottom of the second one. This is actually the first bottom that I made out of the 3 carts. This is the first bottom that I made. So they've been routed and ready to go. Actually, all of that stuff has been sanded and rounded over or chamfered. All the holes have been chamfered and they're just ready. Now in this case, if you'll look closely on that, what you're going to see is there are 3 handle openings. Rather than just a hole in the middle of the thing, I actually have 3 because of the router template that allows me to route out for the sawhorse legs, for the feet. That has, because it's a multifunctional pattern, it has the handle pattern on the middle of that particular, in the middle of that pattern. So when I was laying it out, I laid it out the first time to do all the sawhorse feet. And I just went ahead and drilled the hole in the center because I wasn't thinking. Then I switched to the middle, drilled the hole for the center, which is what I was supposed to do, and then realized what I had done. So then I went to the third set for the sawhorse on the other side, like to the left, and realized that I have to make this thing symmetrical, otherwise it's just going to bother me. So I went ahead and drilled the third one for no particular reason other than symmetry. So here I am thickening up the back, or the side again. And I think we're just about done here. Drive these screws, and I think this video ends. I think at some point I had to switch over, and I was running out of the 1 1/4 screws, which are again expensive, and I had some 2-inch screws, and I just started using those. I just was very careful running them into plywood, so I didn't kind of create a shiner by, you know, screwing it in on a little bit of an angle and having that thing pop out somewhere on the inside or the outside of the build. At this point, I thought I was actually done with the video, but at this point what I'm showing is I am using a chamfer bit, a 45-degree chamfer bit, so I'm basically rounding or chamfering over all of the inside and the outside edges just to make it a little bit softer when you grab onto it so it's not so sharp. And then I'm running a sander with probably 100 grit or something like that, just to kind of, again, ease it a little bit, make it a little bit more comfortable to grab. All right, well, there you go. So 90% identical constructions for the most part. And they are ready to go whenever I build the next 2 benches. All right, well, thank you very much, folks. That is all I have for you on this video. Really neat to actually build 2 in a row. It was neat to actually make the parts all together 2 in a row. I enjoy that production line sometimes because you can let your mind go somewhere else, listen to a podcast or whatever, but yet you're still being constructive. You're still being productive. So very cool stuff. And I like the fact that when the benches are ready, the carts are all ready to go. It won't take but I think maybe an hour to mount the casters, because I already have the casters. They're right here. And I already have the bars made, because the bars, you actually take two pieces of plywood and then you glue them together, basically just to laminate them to give yourself the thickness. So as a foot bar, you know, it's pretty rigid. So that's all ready to go. The inside slats that will help index the sawhorses, those are all ready to go. They're not in yet, but I have them cut and ready. And also the vertical alignment tabs are also, again, ready to go. So when I have those new benches, it'll be a matter of just installing the last little bit of parts, putting the casters on. I'm anticipating about an hour a bench if I go slow. And then those carts are ready for the brand new benches. A Smart Station. Can't tell you how excited I am for that one. And also for the knockdown version of the Smart Bench, which will be pretty cool just to have one that I didn't have to make all the parts for, but that'll be really cool in the fact that I just have to assemble it, round over or chamfer what I need to chamfer because it doesn't come that way, and then that thing is ready to go. Maybe run a sander around it once or something. But that's also made with the ultralight plywood, so that should come in, the bench, just the bench top itself, the actual torsion box, should come in around 65 pounds, which is what this bench right here comes in at, and I will weigh the Smart Station without, of course, the saw on it. But I'll weigh that as well. And that should weigh actually a little less because you have to actually make a cutout for where the saw indexes to. And so that is actually going to take out some material. So I expect that may come in closer to 60 pounds. All right, well, hey, folks, thank you very much for sticking with me. I appreciate it. If you would like and subscribe, that's a great way to say thanks. Ring the bell, get notified when I drop a new video. I'm not on any particular regular schedule these days. A lot of things are going in a lot of directions, and that prevents me from having enough time to create content, edit content, and then say every Tuesday or every whatever. You all take care. Have a great day because you deserve it. And like I said, ring that bell, get notified, and then you'll know when I drop a new video so you can make a decision. That one looks good. Maybe not this one. Okay. Take care. Have a good one.